Hey, this is Seth, and I'm in Rock Creek Park right now, and just finished running. Maybe you can hear that it's raining. And I've been thinking while I was running about a lot of things, but one of them was a workshop I'm going to be doing in a couple weekends from now called The Art of Deep Listening. I'm going to see if I can turn the screen around. Okay, so I had to turn off the camera to turn it around. I don't really like messing with my phone that much, but I'm doing it more and more these days. Anyway, this workshop, it's called The Art of Deep Listening, and I'm really excited about it because this is a really clear opportunity for me to teach Feldenkrais Method in my own way. Because for many years, I thought all I was going to do with my life was be a musician. And needless to say, I'm still obsessed with sound, listen to music all the time, make videos you might have seen of myself singing in funny ways. And not too long ago, I rediscovered the composer Pauline Oliveros, who created an actual listening practice, a meditative listening practice she called deep listening. I also ran into this word deep listening when I was at a workshop with Feldenkrais trainer Jeff Holler, who has a new program in Seattle that I'm very interested in, and another wonderful Feldenkrais trainer who is part of the program is Donna Blank. And at the workshop he said, "This is Donna, and she's going to be in charge of deep listening in our training." And I thought, wow, that's really cool. What is deep listening? Well, it could be a lot of different things, but the way I'm thinking of it in terms of this workshop and in general is two things. One does have to do with the ears and very much about deepening your ability to listen and perceive the sound all around you, all the qualities of the sound, the many simultaneous sounds that are always in the environment. But also, as I noticed early on in my Feldenkrais training, I was often being asked to be aware of my body in different ways, and the verb that was often used was listen. Listen to your shoulder blade, listen to your hip joints. And so I think listening can also be a generalized idea about how do we pay attention, because listening, if you know that phrase, stop, look, and listen, right? Stop is the first part of that. You have to pause, you have to get quiet inside yourself to really hear what's outside. And of course, we often don't pay attention to what's going on inside. So another aspect of deep listening, the way I think of it, is to be able to perceive the outside and the inside at the same time. So I've already spent a couple minutes just talking here about the workshop. As I've been doing with each of my Sunday workshops, I like to give you a little taste of what we'll do in the workshop. And with deep listening, I'm going to spend a few minutes here with you, but I'll also say you can't just discover deep listening in a couple of minutes. You have to stop and take the time, and that's what we'll do for 3 hours on June 3rd. But this could give you definitely a window into the kind of things that we're going to be cultivating and working with at that workshop. So wherever you are hearing this video, and let me suggest, wherever it is, you can do some of these things later in a beautiful place like Rock Creek Park. That's a great way to go. But you can take this practice with you. But please now, wherever you are, just find a comfortable way to be, whether it's in your chair or perhaps sitting on the floor or lying on the floor, it doesn't matter. But come to a place of stillness within yourself and just begin to follow your breath. So as you're breathing, you're not trying to change your breathing in any way, but you're just noticing the rhythm of the breath as it goes in and as it goes out. And there's a lot of things to notice about the breath. But maybe one thing that's, although it's a little bit obvious, you might not necessarily start with, which is the sound of your breath. Pauline Oliveros used to say, with every breath, you make a sound, And with every breath, you receive a sound. So listen to the sound you're making with your breath. And just notice now, if you were to think of your inhale and your exhale as like very quiet notes being played through a wind instrument, where there wasn't much tone, but there is a difference between the inhale and the exhale. Would you say that your inhale is a higher pitch, or would you say that your exhale is a higher pitch? Just listen. And as you listen and notice the pitches of your inhale and your exhale, it's a nice bird call here in the woods. So maybe mentally you're even noticing that in order to find those pitches, you're beginning to sing mentally, like Now I might have somewhat ruined your experiment just now, because those might not be your pitches, and maybe something changed just because I sang a couple of pitches to you. In any case, go back to your breath, hear the pitches. And now, can you change it? Breathe differently so that whichever pitch was higher is now the lower pitch, and whatever pitch was lower is now the higher pitch. And as you do this, it probably feels unfamiliar, probably feels like a way that you don't normally breathe. So feel what changed. Did the shape in your throat change? Is the breathing maybe a little constricted in some way? Is it harder to breathe like this? Okay, so go back to your normal breath and listen to the pitches again. Hear any other sounds around you, like this bird. You can also hear off in the distance. This is a city park, so I'm hearing some kind of construction far off in the distance back there. I'm hearing the rain around you, around me. I started thinking ahead in my brain about what I was saying. We fool ourselves that way. Then I was going to ask you, I thought, let me ask a question. What are you hearing around you in addition to your breath? Okay, let's do something a little different for a moment. Take a couple of your fingers and put them on the side of your Adam's apple. And you're listening for your pulse. You've probably taken your pulse this way before. And you may or may not sense the pulse as a sound, but once you feel it, that rhythm becomes apparent in your awareness. And see if you can now listen to the pulse and listen to the breath. And the pulse and the breath are different rhythms. Usually, I would think your breath is slower and the pulse is a little faster. So for every inhale, hear how it's punctuated by several beats of your pulse. And then as you exhale, same thing. And can you hear your breath? Maybe one part of the breath being higher, the other part being lower. And hear your pulse. And hear something about the sounds of the environment. Can you hear these internal sounds and some of the external sound around you simultaneously? Okay. I'm already noticing I'm making a video that's longer than some of my other workshop videos. I have this idea in my head about, they have to be short and snappy because people don't have a lot of time. Well, this is part of the problem, isn't it? So if you're still with me, I'm going to give you one more thing you can do, and you can do just the little things that I'm going to do in this video could be stretched out quite a bit, and you'll have that experience to become the workshop. So go back to noticing the breath and the pitches of the breath, the higher pitch and the lower pitch. And now, are you breathing through your mouth or are you breathing through your nose? So whichever you're doing, switch So if you were breathing through the mouth, now it's through the nose. If you were breathing through the nose, now it's through the mouth. Notice the same thing about the pitches. And do the same experiment as before. Make the inhale, if it was the higher pitch, make it the lower pitch. If it was the lower pitch, make it the higher pitch. And same thing with the exhale. Switch the pitches. But now if you were breathing through the nose, you switch to the mouth, and vice versa. And now do a couple of cycles of breath in and out through the nose with this opposite way of making pitches, so that what's normally your high pitch is the low pitch, and vice versa. Do a couple of breaths like that in and out through the nose, and then a couple of breaths like that in and out through the mouth. And see if you can feel what happens at the very top of the very back of your mouth every time you switch from your nose to your mouth, and as you switch back from your mouth to your nose. And now just breathe normally. And then put a couple fingers on the side of your throat, hearing your pulse. Continue to listen to your breathing. And see if you can continue hearing your breath and your pulse. And at the same time, how many different distinct sounds can you hear in your environment? So if you're indoors, often there's some kind of electrical sound, like an ongoing drone, your refrigerator, or your air conditioning, or electricity. If you're in an apartment building, you might hear sounds coming through the walls faintly. Or if the window's open, maybe you hear cars on the street. Of course, every time I speak, I'm interrupting you, but then there's my voice, and then there's the silence in between the times I'm speaking. Are you still hearing your breath and your heartbeat? Okay, so let everything go here. This is just a little taste of the practice of deep listening. One way of doing it. We'll do it many ways in the workshop on June 3rd. I really hope you'll be there. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be at the Center for Movement Theater on it's 4321 Wisconsin Avenue in Northwest DC. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. Lots of sunlight coming in, which was great for our vision workshop recently, and I think it'll be a great space as we look into the art of deep listening as well. Hope you'll be there.